Hello guys, today we're going to learn derivative rules, section 2.5. This section is going to make your life so much easier because if you remember last time, we spent quite some time doing that long formula to figure out what the derivative, which is the slope of a function is. And so that's what this first part says here. Remember this formula here as a way to find that derivative or instantaneous rate of change. And so we did that this limit process to get that answer. Now, there are lots of shortcuts. We all say, hooray, who likes a shortcut? I know I do. So first, these are just some notation things. Essentially, there was a couple of people working on calculus at the same time, developing this type of thinking concerning mathematics. And so we have these different notations because they denoted the derivative different way. And so we still have those different notations today. So f prime, y prime, this little mark here, so we call that prime. F prime, y prime, dy dx, change in y over change in x, derivative with respect to x of f of x. All of these things mean the same thing, the derivative. So without further ado, let's talk about the shortcut rules. The first one is that anytime you take, this means derivative, the derivative, that's what this notation is, derivative of a constant, that's a constant, so like a number, right? The derivative is 0. Now let's think about that. What does the derivative mean? Do you remember what the derivative means? I don't want you to ever forget what the derivative actually is. It's just the slope of the tangent line at a point. Okay, so it's the slope or it's the rate of change at that point. So the derivative is the slope, which you talked about slope since algebra 1. Now a constant, if you think about any constant line, it looks like this. Like if this is y equals 3 or something. This is a constant. And what is the slope of this line? The slope of that line is, it's rise over run, is 0, right? And a way to remember that is if you have a horizontal, it makes a z for 0, a 0 slope, right? So any horizontal line has this 0 slope. So anytime you have any constant, the derivative of this would be 0 because that's a constant. This is also a constant. It's a decimal, but still it would just be a line almost at 2. So the derivative of that is also 0. Any constant, the derivative is 0. Now, most of our time we'll be using this power rule. And I bet even when you're old and decades from now, if one of your kids has to take calculus, hopefully you'll remember this part, the power rule. You use it all the time. The power rule, there's a long proof for this, which I'm not going to show you, but the derivative of something where the notation of x to the n, the shortcut for it is n x to the n minus 1. So what does that look like? Normally, when I would teach this in a classroom setting, in person, I would actually write a chart out and I would see if you could figure out the pattern yourself. So usually when I teach this, I write down a function, oops, I'm going to write f of x, and its derivative, and then I ask the students, what do you see? What do you notice? So if I have any x to some n power, what do you notice? Well, hopefully you notice this power got pulled down in front, and then this new power is just 1 less. So the derivative of x to the n is nx to the n minus 1. And if you have something hanging out in front, like say I had 3x squared, you can just pull this down and multiply the 2 and the 3 together. So it'd be 6x. All right, so what's the derivative of x to the 5th? We just pull the 5 down and we subtract 1, so 5x to the 4th. What's the derivative of x to the 2.1? Well, 2.1 x to the 2.1 minus 1, you're subtracting 1. Oh, that'd be 1.1. Fractions, I know they look scary. It's the same rule. You bring the 7/4 down, x to the subtract 1. Subtracting 1 is like subtracting 4 over 4. And so what's 7 over 4 minus 4 over 4? 3 over 4. There's no shame in just writing out the fraction itself. Roots sometimes are tricky for people. I do have a video I will link in this week's assignments just so you can see just some exponent rules. So anytime you have n, x, and root of x, that's the same as x to the 1 over n, okay? Or if you have b, x to the a, that's x to the a over b. So we need to rewrite this. That's x to the 1/3. That's not the derivative, that's just what it's equal to. Now, if I want to take the derivative, I bring the 1/3 down and subtract 1. I'm subtracting 1, which is the same as subtracting 3 over 3. 1 minus 3 is -2, and the denominators stay the same, so -2/3. I'm fine if you leave it like this. Some textbooks will show this rewritten with the 2/3 in the bottom. These are the same thing. Okay, this I already talked about. This is the constant multiple rule, which is essentially you can just multiply whatever's in front. So -12 and multiply it times the 7. So we got 12 times 7. That's 84. So we get -84x to the subtract 1. When you're doing negative, sometimes people get confused. We're doing -12 minus 1. You move to the left one, it's actually more negative, so -13. This 1/3 gets multiplied by the 9/3, x to the subtract 3 over 3, so that's -2/3. Well, 9/3 is the same as 3, x to the 2/3. This is the same as 3x to the 1/2 power, so that'd be 3/2 x to the -1/2. The pi, don't let pi scare you. Pi is just a number. It's 3.14 with lots of other numbers that keep going on. So 2 pi r, that's it. Because if I subtract 1 from 2, I just get 1. And I don't have to write 2 pi r to the first. You just write 2 pi r. And there's also the sum and difference properties, just like limits. So this is a fancy way of saying the derivative of a sum is the sum of the derivatives, or the derivative of a difference is the difference of the derivatives. So if you have things added or subtracted together, you just take the derivative of each part and then add or subtract it. So I can say the derivative of this whole thing is just the derivative of this minus the derivative of that. What's the derivative of that? Well, you bring the 2 down. 2 times 5 is 10, so 10x. The derivative of 3x, if I bring the 1 down, I get 3x to the 0. No one writes x to the 0. X to the 0 is just 1. So we get 10x minus 3. Another way of thinking about this rule, anytime you have something that's linear, like 5x, the derivative is 5. Because remember, the derivative is the slope. So I have something kx, the derivative is just k, the thing in front, when you're dealing with a linear component. All right, the derivative of this guy, remember dy dx is just another way to ask derivative. So I bring the 4 down. 4 times 4 is 16, x to the 3rd minus bring the 5/2 down. So that'd be 15/2 x to the subtract 1 is like subtracting 2 over 2. So that would be 3/2. And then what's the derivative of a constant? Remember, 2 doesn't change. So its derivative is 0. You don't have to write +0. I just did for emphasis sake. So this is the derivative. Now, this guy, we can only do derivatives this way if we have sums and differences of individual x to the n powers. So I need to split this guy apart. Anytime you have a single term on the bottom, this is kind of mnemonic to help me remember. Single starts with S, and so does separate. And so does simplify. Okay, so single on the bottom, separate it. So that means just pull it apart, like unadd it. And then after you separate it, you're going to simplify it. So this becomes x squared minus 4x plus 3x to the -1. Then we're going to take the derivative. So the derivative is going to be 2x minus 4. Then bring the negative down. So -3x to the subtract 1. So -2. This one you need to rewrite. Anytime they're in the bottom, you're going to rewrite them using exponent rules. And again, I will link that video. Say you have 1 over x to the 5th. That's x to the -5. You have 1 over x squared. That's x to the -2. Anytime you bring this guy up, you just flip the sign. So this is the same as 4t to the negative 4 minus 3t to the negative 3 plus 2t to the negative 1. Now we're going to take the derivative. So we're going to bring the negative 4 down. So negative 16t to the subtract 1. So it'll be negative 5. This would be plus 9t to the negative 4 minus 2t to the negative 2. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. Let's do the next example. Okay, so, all right, so this is just function notation. Sometimes students struggle with this, but I don't want you to overthink it. If I take the derivative of g, we just write g prime. It's that simple. Then it's asking us to find what is h prime of negative 2. So it's essentially asking you to plug in negative 2. So that would be 2 times g prime of negative 2. And they told us g prime of negative 2 is 5. So that means this is 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, so this is using the sum or difference rule. So the derivative of g is denoted g prime. The derivative of f is denoted f prime. The derivative of 5, that's a constant. So the derivative is 0. These aren't 0 because they're in front of a fraction. A function. So it's the scalar multiple rule. That 3 just stays there. So what's g prime? G prime of negative 2 is 5. Oops, I meant to do this one. It's 5, so that goes here. And then f prime is 1, so that goes here. So we're just going to substitute these things. So it's going to be 3 times 5 minus 1. So order of operations, you multiply first. 15 minus 1 gives us 14. Okay, and then let's see. This says we have this function, and then we're supposed to find f prime of negative 1, f prime of 1, and then the equation of the line at negative 1, equation at 1, and where the values are horizontal. Okay, this is our last one. Okay, now this seems like a lot. Let's break it down. First, we just need to find f prime. F prime, that's just the derivative, which is this power rule. So we bring the 3 down, 3 times 2, 6x subtract 1, so squared minus 24x. That's just this, when it's linear, it's just the coefficient in front. That's the first part. Then A says, well, we want to find what happens when I plug in negative 1. Negative 1 squared minus 24. So make sure you do order of operations here. Negative 1 squared is 1. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 minus 24 would be, what is that? Is that negative 18? Okay. So let's do the next part. B, f prime of 1. If I plug in 1, 6 times 1 squared minus 24, 6 minus 24 gives us negative 18. Okay, so that begins A and B. The equation of the tangent line. If you remember from last time, when we see equation of tangent line, we need to think point, slope. So anytime you see equation, I want you to think point, slope. So point, slope, point, slope, and negative 1. So we got negative 1, comma, what's the point? Okay, so they didn't actually tell us the y value. How do you find a y value? Well, you just take it and you plug it into the function. So I need to find f of 1 because I need the y value. So f of 1 would be 2 times 1, negative 1. Negative 1 cubed minus 24 times negative 1. So negative 1 cubed is negative 1 times 2. That's negative 2, and then that's going to be plus 24. So that's going to be 24 minus 2, which is 22. The slope we just found, the slope at negative 1 is negative 18. So the equation is y minus the y coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x coordinate. And minus and negative would be plus. and you can leave it like this. If the answer key does not look like that, then you can simplify this by minus 22, negative 18x minus 18, and then add the 22 over. So that'd be negative 18x plus 4, right? Okay. Then if we want to find the slope of the other line, it'd be very similar to that. So very similar process. We're just going to get a different y value. It has the same slope. Let's see. If I plug in 1, f of 1 is 6 times 1 squared minus 24. So 6 minus 24. So what is that? 18. Negative 18 again. Okay. So then the slope is actually, oh no, whoops. Whoops, guys, sorry. I made a mistake there. I plugged it into the derivative. But sometimes it's good to model what a possible mistake is. I wrote down f of 1, but I plugged it into this. Oops, f of 1 is here. 2 times 1 cubed minus 24 times 1. So 2 minus 24 gives us negative 22. The slope, we already figured out, that's negative 18. So y minus your y coordinate, so that is going to be a plus, equals the slope times x minus your x coordinate. Again, we're just using this equation. Anytime you see write an equation, I want you to think I need a point and I need a slope, and I'm going to substitute into this equation. So that's your answer for that one. Now, part E says, find the values where the tangent line is horizontal. Well, what kind of slope do we have when we have a horizontal line? Now, remember, we talked about this earlier. You have a 0 slope. So it's basically saying find the places where this derivative equals 0. That's what horizontal line means. So anytime you see horizontal tangent, you're going to take the derivative and set it equal to 0 and solve, oops, I cannot spell, solve for x. So I'm going to take 6x squared minus 24. I'm going to set it equal to 0. I'm actually going to factor this so you see there's more than one answer. If I take out the 6, I get x squared minus 4. And that is a difference of squares, so minus 2 plus 2. So the two things that are going to make it equal 0 are positive 2 and negative 2. So you have these two places where if I plug 2 or negative 2 into this, my answer is going to be 0, which means the graph there has a horizontal tangent. So it's something like this, where it's a turning point in the graph, which we'll use that to talk about maxes and mins and all sorts of fun stuff later. Okay, so that is section 2.5. Is that what we just did? Yes. Okay, so attempt the homework. And as always, please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help.